Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the CB View. Today we're here with a new item. Big thanks to Best Buy today for sponsoring this video. They've hooked us up with something special. We have the Corsair K65 Plus Wireless Mechanical Keyboard. This one's pretty interesting. Corsair, you know, they make a boatload of gaming keyboards, but this time we've got something that's a little bit more full-featured. Something that's actually a little bit more up my alley as someone who's a slight keyboard enthusiast. Nothing crazy, but I do enjoy something that you can fully customize yourself, everything from the keycaps to the switches and everything in between. And that's what Corsair is trying to do with their new lineup of keyboards. So today we're going to take a look and check out this 75% keyboard. There's no numpad on this, and we're also looking at a reduced amount of function keys on this as well. But it's got some pretty cool stuff, so we're just going to dive in and start taking a look. Before I dig too deep into the actual unboxing, I'm just going to list off a couple of specs that Corsair kind of thinks is worthwhile on this thing. First of all, we're running Corsair MLX red switches. I'm not a huge fan of linear switches. Linear switches are where it's kind of like, it's just a smooth press the whole way through. There's not an actual tactile feedback as you fully depress on the key. So it depends on what you actually enjoy. Just as a quick little aside, for anyone who is interested to understand what kind of keyboard key switch you actually enjoy, I recommend going to your local Best Buy, just testing out whatever keyboards they have right there, seeing what type of switches that they have, and just approximating what you might enjoy based on the tactile feedback that you can feel. But these are reds, so it's just a smooth motion the whole way down. Some people enjoy it, some people like me, they don't enjoy it as much. This features wireless connectivity. So we have 2.4 wireless gigahertz connectivity with the included wireless dongle, and we also have Bluetooth connectivity, so you can use this with your mobile phone. You can hook it up just via Bluetooth with your computer if you don't have the dongle with you for some reason. And then of course we have wired connectivity as well, so they include a USB-A to Type-C cable. Type-C of course goes into the keyboard itself, Type-A would go into your computer. But you know, if you have a Type-C to C cable, because you're cool like that, you can do that as well. This thing has a pretty long-lasting battery. They say that it lasts up to 266 hours on a single charge. And the reason they're able to say that is because we actually have, let's see here, 4,200 milliamp hour battery. That's like smartphone territory. Obviously that's needed when we have an RGB mechanical keyboard, but still impressive. And of course, for the sound profile on this too, Corsair doesn't want it to be all kind of clingy, plingy, ting, metallic. They don't want it to sound like you're just beating on a metal keyboard like kind of their keyboards of yesteryear. And I'm someone who actually used to use a Corsair mechanical keyboard with you know, full aluminum body on it, and you'd get a lot of ting, ping, cling type of sound. And I don't think we're gonna get that this time, folks. As I click on that, this is very, very, very silent. Good stuff. As far as other things to point out on this, we do have a rotary dial on the keyboard. This rotary dial can be used for anything from just controlling your audio on your computer to scrolling up and down a web page or some other functionality. Along with that, Corsair also includes a nice little keycap and switch puller, which I'll show you guys right here. This is pretty standard for anyone who actually enjoys messing around with mechanical keyboards. You wouldn't get too far without this, to be honest with you. And then of course, our braided cable, our beautiful braided cable. Gotta have a braided cable, folks. Some people get kind of fancy and they gotta get like a coiled one with that really cool 5-pin connector. I'll see if I can show a picture to you. But it's pretty cool the way that people get with their mechanical keyboards. I am one of those people. I just try not to brag about it too much. Great stuff, great stuff. So let's go ahead, pull this out of here. All right, Corsair includes a nice little warranty guide for us. Thank you, Corsair, always nice, good to know. And wow, this is actually pretty lightweight, folks. My gosh, let me see if I actually have the official specs here for the weight. Yeah, we got 2.02 pounds for the weight of this keyboard. That's pretty nice. The keyboard I'm using right now is actually just full metal, and I could probably beat someone over the head with it. It is extremely hefty. It's probably my first weapon of choice if someone were to break into my basement when I'm in the middle of doing some editing or doing some gaming or something to that effect. This one, though, probably would not be my weapon of choice. That's a good thing, though. It's nice that this is a little bit more lightweight. I do appreciate that. The keycaps themselves, these are PBT dye sublimated keycaps, which is extremely important in my book because your hands have oils in them. We're discussing human beings. And as you type on these over time, with your standard keyboard, especially if we're talking about, let's say, a $25 Logitech keyboard, you give that 6 months of usage and you look at it, you're gonna know exactly where you keep your home keys at, exactly which keys you're pressing the most, and it just looks really grimy and nasty over time. So I think it's super important to have that type of finish on this keyboard. Very nice stuff right there. For the sound dampening, what they use is a high density foam and a silicone pad to be able to do the sound absorbing. I'll honestly say that I'm impressed with how much it absorbs sound. Usually I haven't heard a mechanical keyboard that's this muted. And I mean that pleasantly. It is a pleasantly muted sound. It's not something where I'm like, oh, the satisfaction is completely gone from the keyboard. No, it still feels nice. The key switches are a 45-gram actuation force. It's a 1.9 millimeter actuation distance and a 4 millimeter total travel. So for anyone who's not privy to that, the 1.9 millimeter actuation distance means that the key press is going to happen just before halfway of completely bottoming out the key. So once you get a feel for this keyboard, you'll be able to just put the right amount of pressure on the key and you'll get actuation, which means you'll get a key press out of it. With that, it's guaranteed for 70 million keystrokes. I would totally expect that from really any switch that's worth its salt. And just so everyone does know, my Corsair mechanical keyboard that I use for a total of 7 years, never had any issues with any of the key switches on there, and those were Corsair MX brown switches. I would expect the same longevity out of this and more, of course. Wow. Good start, good start. As you guys can see from my GoPro footage right here, this is a nice start off. This is a good looking profile. All right, so iCUE now needs to download modules for the K65 Plus Wireless, so I'm just gonna restart iCUE here. Let's talk about one more thing. In the world of connectivity, this is also touted as something that can be connected to your mobile device, as well as to your Xbox, as well as to your PlayStation. Some things to keep in mind with that. When it comes to mobile, they're not saying that there's any legitimate USB support. I'm pretty sure that there will be. So if you have like a USB OTG or on-the-go adapter, you can take this full-size USB and convert it down to Type-C, which you can plug into your phone, and then you could probably have a wired connection with this. They don't officially support that. Right now, it only says that Bluetooth is supported and the polling rate is 125 Hertz. And then for any wired connections that we're using, as long as it's USB 2 or above, we're looking at 1000 Hertz polling rate. And that goes across platforms. So we're talking about Mac, Windows, PS4 and PS5, as well as Xbox. So it's pretty cool. And with that, I'm just gonna kind of do a little bit of very brief type testing here. Very quiet, very muted. I would almost say that's like, again, it's really awkward because, you know, red switches are not my preference, but it's good. Let's take a look here. Let's just briefly take off a key. Cool. So obviously these switches themselves, these are north-facing LEDs. So instead of the LED shining on the bottom of the switch and through the keycap or just on the keycap, this is up top. Sometimes that is important for people depending on what type of keycaps you want to use on your keyboard. I'm sure that there's going to be at least enough people who use Corsair's switches and they just want to switch out keycaps. And maybe they don't even care that much and they're just going to use the keyboard by itself. But again, we're talking about an expensive enthusiast grade keyboard here. I believe the MSRP on this is about $169.99. So I do think that there are going to be some people who are like, hey, enthusiast grade, fully hot swappable stuff, I want a hot swap. So let's also take a look and see if I can do a okay-ish job of not just pulling up one of these keycaps, but also pulling up one of the switches. I'm probably going to do a bad job, fair warning, but here we go. And there we go. So we can see the LED right at the bottom of the keyboard right there. And unlike what you would see with a lot of other types of keyboards, you're not seeing a whole lot of PCB when you pull up the keycap. That's purely a vanity thing. It's obviously Corsair just going for a nice black PCB to make things look fresh and make things look nice, but it is good to know that they cared enough to say, hey, we're gonna make sure that this is looking professional through and through, whether you're taking apart the keyboard or not. One last thing, right here on the side, next to this blinking green LED, we do have a little LED on and off switch. So this is a really nice function to have built into the keyboard, because what it comes down to with these keyboards is just what can we do to make it a little bit more homey and a little bit more customizable, something that people can pick up and run with. But at the same time, if you're someone who is an enthusiast and really cares about getting the full functionality out of your hardware, you have the ability to just make it anything you want, which is awesome. But with that, I'm gonna be doing a little bit of legitimate testing, and we'll see where that goes, I guess. But thank you everyone for joining me on this unboxing of the Corsair K65 Plus Wireless RGB mechanical keyboard. I think it's gonna be a good one, folks, but we'll see. I'll come back with a full review. In the meantime, stay tuned for more videos. And again, a big shout out and thank you to Best Buy and Corsair for sending this over to me for review purposes. My job here is to just give you guys my personal opinion on the things that are sent to me. So I really appreciate you guys checking out this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys real soon. Thanks so much.